Indiana leads by 11 with 5:48 remaining in.
Caitlin Clark has faced numerous obstacles since joining the WNBA, but nothing has frustrated fans more than the inconsistent and highly questionable officiating she continues to endure. From obvious no calls to unnecessary technical fouls, it is beginning to feel like the referees are unfairly targeting the league's biggest star. The crowd's electric energy quickly turns into outrage when Clark gets hit hard and the whistle remains silent, forcing her to play through contact that would be called against anyone else. So what is really happening here? Are these simply bad calls, or is there a deeper pattern of bias emerging? We are breaking down 10 of the most outrageous and game-changing calls that have left fans and analysts completely baffled. One of the most ridiculous no-calls came during the playoffs against the Connecticut Sun, when DeJounte Carrington hit Clark square in the eye, yet the referees did absolutely nothing. The impact left Clark dazed and struggling to regain her focus, but the whistle never came. She finished the first half shooting an uncharacteristic 1 for 9 from the field, and a nasty bruise formed around her eye.
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down.
In outrage, demanding an explanation for why such a blatant foul was completely ignored by the officials. This was just the first of many moments that made people question what the referees were actually watching. Was this just playoff physicality, or was something more concerning taking place? Either way, it became clear that Clark was not going to receive any superstar calls, and instead was being subjected to some of the worst non-calls the league has to offer.
Clark is still down after taking a shot following the pass.
Flooded social media demanding accountability, with one viewer calling it the worst officiated game ever and another slamming it as an absolute embarrassment. Despite the mounting frustration, Clark kept her composure and continued battling. The biased officiating persisted throughout the game, with Clark being held, shoved, and repeatedly hit while the referees remained completely silent.
As everyone else has seen this angle. I'm calling her in, and I'm saying to her, I need answers.
The commentators could not ignore the excessive contact, pointing out the blatant fouls, but the referees remained indifferent. Clark refused to let the missed calls define her performance, finding other ways to contribute and proving why she is one of the toughest competitors in the league. This game was a glaring example of how poor officiating can shape outcomes and put players at unnecessary risk. Another shocking moment came against the Connecticut Sun when Alyssa Thomas bulldozed through Clark with a shoulder check that sent the rookie crashing to the floor. The arena gasped in disbelief at the brutal hit, yet the officials only assessed a common foul. Fans were livid, with many describing it as a cheap shot that should have been called a flagrant foul.
Clark trying to get around Mabry. Clark to the rim, reverses it home through the cut.
Despite the relentless physicality, Clark refused to let it shake her confidence. She got back on her feet and went straight to work, demonstrating remarkable mental toughness and resilience. Her ability to bounce back and stay locked in proved why she is one of the most determined athletes in the entire league. A new controversy emerged during a timeout when Skylar Diggins-Smith stepped behind Clark and forcefully shoved her out of the way.
Here at the heavy contact.
Responded with stunned gasps and angry boos, but once again, the referees let it slide without any foul or warning. This moment sparked a heated debate about sportsmanship and fairness in the league. Fans flooded social media demanding answers, questioning why Diggins-Smith's blatant aggression went unnoticed while Clark continued to be scrutinized for the smallest actions.
To Thomas.
Yeah, they're not going to look at this. They might.
Got the fans.
Consistency in officiating became impossible to ignore, leaving many to wonder if there was a deeper issue at play. The question remained, was this just bad officiating or something more deliberate? In that same game against the Seattle Storm, Clark missed a shot and lightly hit the padding of the hoop in frustration. Before anyone could process what happened, the referee immediately called a technical foul. This decision sent shockwaves through the arena, sparking debate about whether this was truly unsportsmanlike behavior or simply a natural reaction to a tough moment. Despite the questionable call, Clark refused to let it affect her focus. She stayed locked in and determined to lead her team to victory, responding the only way she knows how, by letting her game do the talking. While others might have let the frustration linger, she channeled it into her performance. Clark ignored the shove from Diggins-Smith and brushed off the technical foul, keeping her energy high and her focus sharp.
By now, I'm sure you've seen Skylar Diggins assault. Caitlin Clark after Indiana blew out Seattle.
Was a commanding 17-point victory for the Fever, with Clark dropping an impressive 23 points. Her ability to dominate despite the adversity showcased her exceptional mental strength. This raises an important question. Is this type of reaction consistently penalized across the league, or is Clark being singled out?
Caitlin Clark gets hit with a technical.
A closer look at how referees handle similar situations for other players reveals a troubling double standard. It seems the rules are not being applied fairly when it comes to the league's biggest star. Technical fouls were just the beginning, as a collision against the Las Vegas Aces sparked outrage and raised a chilling question about player safety.
Technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game and
made contact with Clark's face, sending the rookie stumbling backward. Crowd waited for the call, and when a common foul was finally assessed, boos rained down from the stands. The reaction was immediate, with disbelief spreading across social media as fans questioned what they had just witnessed.
I think he fired me up to continue to play a lot harder. I thought we got a lot better after he did that, so I want to thank him for that.
Often got back in the game, but the moment highlighted the fine line between tough defense and reckless play.
With my team, it had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor.
Her resilience was undeniable, but the question remained how much more she was expected to endure. On May 22nd, Clark drove hard to the basket and was met with contact once, then again, and a third time, yet still no whistle came.
On your wedding in that group.
Kennedy Carter nearly picks off the pass. And Diana Taurasi, they'll count the bucket. And one coming up for DT.
Erupted in sheer disbelief, and Fever head coach Christy Side spoke out after the game, demanding better officiating and consistency. Her words were a direct call for the respect and fairness Clark deserved. As the season progressed, the pattern became harder and harder to ignore, with one controversy fading only for another to take its place. Clark continued to find herself at the center of jaw-dropping moments, but not for her record-breaking performances.
Clark, the hesitation, working inside the reverse. Owen took a big hit there on Jackie Young.
Instead, it was about the calls, or the lack thereof, that followed her every game against the Washington Mystics. Stephanie Dolson made contact with Clark and swatted the ball away, but the whistle never came.
Foul does come, and for the second time here in the last minute, we have seen a heavy
confusion spread like wildfire, with fans outraged and social media exploding in disbelief. This felt different from just letting the game flow. It felt like a blatant disregard for the rules. Some argue this is simply part of being a rookie and experiencing the standard welcome to the league treatment. However, others see a more concerning trend of blatant no-calls that seem to follow Clark game after game. Starting to pile up, with fans pointing out that an elbow to the face goes uncalled while Clark hitting the post draws a technical. A game against the New York Liberty set the tone for everything that followed, with Brianna Stewart setting a screen so hard it sent shockwaves through the crowd. The impact was undeniable and the collision obvious, but once again, the officials remained silent. If this was not a foul, fans asked, then what is? Social media lit up with arguments and heated debates about where the line should be drawn between a strong pick and excessive contact.
Left, goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. And all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been.
Happened, the harder it became to ignore the inconsistency. The question remained whether this was tough rookie treatment or something far more concerning. Clark's mental strength has been tested time and time again, but nothing could prepare her for the moment her ankle rolled awkwardly after going through a screen. The entire arena held its breath, yet the referees offered no whistle, no foul, no stoppage.
Clark turns on the Jets, Clark to the rim and blocked. Oh, Dolson got back. Clark thought there was a foul.
Questioned whether player safety was being compromised by the officiating. Despite the obvious discomfort and pain, Clark refused to let the injury take her out of the game.
Well, Clark had a pretty good case.
Spot on, showcasing not just her remarkable skill but her incredible grit and determination. Clark is not just playing for highlight reels, she is playing to win, no matter what obstacles stand in her way. 10 controversial calls, 10 jaw-dropping moments, from brutal body checks to blatant non-calls, Caitlin Clark has faced it all. These were not just bad calls, they were moments that sparked outrage, ignited debates, and forced fans to question the integrity of WNBA officiating. Through each challenge, Clark proved why she is the future of the league. Her resilience never wavered, no matter how many hits she took or how many times the whistle stayed silent. She adapted, she found ways to excel, and she continued to perform even when the odds and the referees seemed stacked against her. The real question now is what this means for the future of the WNBA. How does the league ensure fair play while maintaining the intensity that makes basketball so exciting?
That they can stop Caitlin and that they're the better team.
Oh, Caitlin goes down.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. It's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Broken down the calls, we have seen the hits, and we have watched Clark fight through it all. Now it is your turn to weigh in. WNBA failing to protect its biggest star? Or is this just part of the game?